Hey guys, Dizzler Magic here, and it's time for an amazing, truly astonishing, overlooked but awesome card. And this is colorless, so feel free to throw it into anything. And this time when I say throw it into anything, I mean it's actually legal in Modern for once. A lot of these cards lately have been like Commander-ish cards because of their age, but no, you could throw this in anything you want, really. Now, there is one limiting factor that keeps this from being like a super ultra common $30 card, but that's fine. You know, it still has a use. You guys know I love me some good blue counterspells, and this is a colorless artifact. But guess what? There's a little bit of crossover here. I know you're as excited as I am. This one was a user recommendation on Twitter from the user Jordan Crumb. If you ask me, that either sounds like a I'm in hiding alias, or like some kind of Harry Potter fanfic character name. Coming in as a rare from Champions of Kamigawa, we've got Shell of the Last Kappa. Now, if you're not familiar, a kappa is a mythical creature from Japanese folklore. It literally translates to river child, and it refers to a kind of human-ish turtle. Well, the last one died. Probably somebody from Kamigawa killed it. But here's his shell on display in some kind of temple or something. And guess what it does? Well, you cast it out for 3, and then you can pay 3 and tap it, which means, okay, once per turn. And remove from game target instant or sorcery spell that targets you. The spell has no effect. So you're basically taking it off the stack and placing it in exile. That effectively makes it never resolve. Now, its other ability is pay 3, tap it, sacrifice Shell of the Last Kappa, that's unfortunate, and you may play a card removed from the game with Shell of the Last Kappa without paying its mana cost. Now, the really unfortunate part is the whole 3-3 split. So to really make this work without warning, you would have to have 6 mana, although it still doesn't even have flash, so okay, and it's legendary, but you'd kind of want it to be. The really cool thing, though, is it's kind of like having a cancel on, like Isochron Scepter, which, by the way, you can't do because it costs 3. So you pay 3 generic and tap it, and boom, there you go. You get a counterspell. The only problem is it has to be an instant or sorcery that targets you. So no, stasis snare, 1 because it's an enchantment, and 2 because it doesn't target you. So that's unfortunate. I mean, I would honestly just prefer redirect. There's also an opposite card to turn aside that's not legal in standard right now, where it only counters spells that target you as the player, but it does cost 1. I mean, 1 mana is pretty good, but the cool thing about this is in the future, you can take one of these spells and just chuck it right back at your opponent. That is just hilarious. Now, since they completely see this in plain view on the battlefield, I mean, it's not morphed or anything, they know that if they cast a spell targeting you and you have 3 mana open and this is on the field and untapped, you're going to use it. So it's really not realistically practical. It's more like don't cast anything on me, deterrent, I guess. It comes in a little late to the game to, stop like a Thoughtseize or Duress or an Inquisition of Kozilek, but I could see this being valuable. So it's a little hard to play. I just like repetitive counterspells of any type, and this absolutely, definitely qualifies. Now, if you're not convinced that this is a kind of cool artifact, you're just thinking, oh, it's some fringy, stupid, gimmicky thing, it would never work in a practical sense in the game. Maybe it worked in Champions of Kamigawa in the block, but I don't know. I'm not convinced. Let me just remind you of something. You're not technically countering the spell. You're taking it off of the stack, which is, I guess, a zone or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Just pretend it is. For all intents and purposes, it is. And then you're moving it into the exile zone. So if a spell literally says, this spell cannot be countered, you can still hit it with Shell of the Last Kappa and remove it from the stack, because you're not countering it. You're just preventing it from resolving. In fact, I just checked, one of the rulings literally says exiling a spell prevents that spell from resolving, but it doesn't technically counter anything. This means that Shell of the Last Kappa can exile spells which cannot be countered. So that is pretty cool. I mean, I can really only think of one other card that does that, although I'm sure there's more than one. And it's Summary Dismissal, which is still standard legal right now. That card just basically says exile all other spells. So there you go. Bye-bye. You're off the stack. So, I mean, yeah, somebody could just blow this away with artifact destruction, and if they were to flicker it, in other words, exile it, then return to the battlefield, it is considered a new permanent, so all spells exiled with it in the past are no longer relevant for the second ability. And if Mario jumped on it and then kicked it across the battlefield, you're pretty much screwed. But I still like it as a card. I think it's just fantastic. I love counter spells on a stick. It's just the greatest thing ever. Hopefully you guys love this card as much as I do, and I'll see you next video.